So, good day everyone. Yesterday I asked you some questions, especially it is about tribes. So, the common discriminations nga na experience sa mga hang tribe, and of course the karing your tribe is known as or to be the we have different titles. So today let's start our discussion about culture of peace. So our subject is divided or a combination of two topics. So disaster and culture of peace. Okay. We as social workers, what we want or na ang social work um, to lead society into a better place, diba? So that's why if problem exists, social workers are there to help, and other reasons. So each of us, no, kada isa sa to, we want a peaceful society. So tanan man gyud ta gusto og peace. Dili lang man kay gusto nimo, gusto nila. So nga na. So when we say peace, it's actually daghan gud siya og daghan kay things, no? Daghan kay factors nga naga-causes nga mawala ang peace. So yan na siya. But of course, we are working for it para makabot nato ang ginatawag nato nga peace. So let's define culture of peace. Society-wide practices and habits that promote peace. So when we say culture of peace, it is society-wide. Kumbaga, tibuok sosyedad ang involved. And of course, this includes practices and habits that promote peace. So unsa ba nga to ang practices? We are guided by laws, we are guided by policies, guided by norms, just to make sure na what we are doing is leading us to a peaceful society, to have a peaceful environment. So nga na siya. It will rely on, or it will depends on the habits and practices of people. So for example, karing nag-exist man ang wars because of discrimination. Nag-exist ang war because of greed when it comes to territory. And of course, daghang factor nga nagka-cause og war. So what we do, our practices, our habits will determine kung unsa ang maging outcome. Is it war or peace? So tinuod man, a positive way of viewing peace as much more than the mere absence of war. Positive way of viewing peace. So this time dili pa gid kay siya di pa man gid siya ingon nga nagi peace. And of course, maybe decades or centuries from now, dili gyapon na siya magka total peace when we say in global, but we say in local or in Philippines, no, na di man gyud mawala ang the oppositions, the opposite of peace, no. So ingana gid siya. But kita as social workers, that's why we have our roles, our principles, the functions of social works, social work profession, the social workers. to promote peace, not just to help people, but of course to promote peace. Okay, culture of peace formal declaration. So the United Nations officially declared the first decade of 21st century the International Decade of Culture of Peace. So it is declared by United Nations. So the United Nations is composed of it is an organization, no, composed of different countries para maiwasan nato ang magkaroon ng world war. But still, sadly, sometimes it is run by karing powerful leaders, and of course kato mga weak na countries, mga weaker countries follow lang ano. So many millions worldwide have signed its pledge. So just to make sure nga na ay maging na ay mahimo nga peace. So medyo ano ko magstorya because ginasipon ko. So just focus lang. Medyo luyahon. Okay, so one of the reasons nga nung gi-form na to ang United Nation, it's because dili ta gusto mabalik na pod ang situation nga mag-go ta into war, nation against nation. So especially this time karing ang mga weapons every country is getting stronger. So dili pud tanan countries nag-join sa UN or sa United Nation. And of course, if I am not mistaken, one of the policies sa UN is dili ta mag og mga weapons. Dili ta mag-develop og mga weapons because weapon para unsa man ang weapons kung natay peace, di ba? So nga na. Pero there are countries nga secretly buhat gyapon sila og mga weapons, and it is getting stronger, di ba? And of course dili tanan country nagsali, and they are preparing for another war to happen. So yan na gid siya. So ana lang gid ang life. So countries like Russia and I think even China, and some of these countries kay nga members sa UN kay nagtiwalag na sa UN because other countries are preparing their weapons to dominate, tapos kita nagasunod gyapon taga-follow gyapon ta sa UN. Then what if mag-declare sila og war? Nga. That's why naghawa sila, then gipalakas na nila ang national defense. So but still millions of people signed the pledge nga dapat there must be change. They will cooperate para magkaroon ng change. Peace, I mean. Okay. Culture Peace Pledge. First 2 of 6 items are Manilahang Pledge. Respect the life and dignity of each human being without discrimination or prejudice. So in line with with the homework nga kung gatagapon, isa sa ato ang maging topic will be all about ethnicity and tribes, di ba? So dili na ta mag-go into worldwide because it is kinda bigger thing. So diri na lang ta sa local, which is karing one of the most vulnerable sa discriminations is actually our ethnicity, our tribe, no? That's why especially for some tribes nga really ang dako kayong discrimination, not just in local but of course in other countries. Wala may blaan sa ibang countries nga group dry lang man, pero when we say Muslims naagyapon, and in reality they are discriminated or tag as terrorist, especially in other countries. So ginatag nila ang Muslims as terrorist, though dili man tanan. So that is an example nga ang war or ang karing kagubot is mag-start sa discrimination on ethnicity or our tribe. Okay, so in culture of peace, we respect life and dignity of each human being without discrimination or prejudices. Practice active non-violence, rejecting violence in all forms, in particular towards the most deprived and vulnerable such as children and adolescents. So practice active non-violence and rejecting violence. So that also includes children and adolescents because sila na ang may less capacity para musukol, 'di ba? Sila na ang may less capacity para i-fight ilang rights. Sila ang may less capacity para mangayo og tapang. So they are vulnerable. That's why isa siya sa gi-advocate, isa siya sa gi-pledge nga we will practice active non-violence act and rejecting violence in all forms. So economic ba, physical, emotional, psychological, and different types of abuses, in particular towards the most deprived and vulnerable such as children and adolescents. Okay, culture of life, society-wide practices and habits to promote protection of vulnerable human lives. So culture of life, everything we do, our habits and practices, diba, to protect vulnerable. So si kinsa ang vulnerable katong walay capacity to protect themselves, naay risk nga maapektuhan sa isa ka karing abuse. So that is culture of life, a positive assertion of all value of life, much more than mere opposition of abortion, infanticide, and euthanasia. When we say euthanasia, it's the mercy killing. Abortion, itong mga unwanted pregnancy nga dili gid nila gusto magkaroon ng responsibility, they're not prepared, they're afraid of nga makuan sa parents, then they abort their child. Infanticide. So when we say culture of life, again, this is what we do, the practices and habits to protect vulnerable. So for example, abortion, makaingon ba ang fetus dito sa iyang tiyan nga bawal na siya mang, so ingon niya yung mama nga bawal na siya, so I have my right, nakoy karapatan, hindi right for survival. So dili man siya makaingon na, di man niya kaya ma-fight iyang rights. So that's why we in some countries bawal ang abortion. So nga na, and of course under gyapon siya sa UN, UNCRC yata nga na 5 basic rights ang sa kabata, and isa dra is the right to or right for survival. So abortion is gibawal, but in some countries abortion is legal. So nga na, euthanasia. When we say euthanasia, the mercy killing. So pag in coma na gani, makaingon pa ba kang buhi pa ko? Pag in coma na, makaingon pa ba kag ayos ako ayos ako patiya. So diba? So the reason gani nga you are in a hospital nga still buhi gyapon yung body because you are fighting. But sadly, sometimes your family cannot na gyud, karang di na gyud sila kaantos. That's why they do mercy killing. And of course, sometimes mawala ang tag hope. Diba? So still they have the rights, no, na mangyapon tay karapatan or nagyapoy karapatan ang isa ka individual na nagasuffer sa iyang illness. That's why ato ang some of us gi-advocate nga no to euthanasia. Culture of Life Formal Declaration. So it is proposed by Pope John Paul II, in 1995, and of course used by Catholic, Protestant, and other religious groups as well as secular groups. So the same katong magipang pledge is gi-adapt sa tuang religious groups sa different religion because biblically dili man gyud pwede nga mag-abort kag bata, diba? Biblically dili man ta allowed to kill or to take life from a person. So nga na siya. That's why it is adopted by religious groups. Founding principle: respect the life and dignity of each human being without discrimination and prejudices. So the same gapon. Can we ever build one of these culture without building another one? So link. John Paul II did include opposition to the death penalty in the culture of life. So maybe not because religious siya, he is the Pope, but of course we believe gani nga we do not have the right to take life. So in biblical side, we do not have the right to take life from a person. Na only God can do. Only God can take life from us. So we are not allowed. That's why he opposes that penalty. But that penalty, no, hindi po niya side. That penalty is actually one of our, kumbaga, sa Hammurabi Code gani, mata sa mata, ngipin sa ngipin. So if you are a murderer, kung nakapatay ka, life must be paid by life. Kung unsay mo gikuha, mapudto ang kabayaran. So if ever nga nakapatay siya, then that penalty will be the sentence for him or for her. And of course, it will also serve as a lesson for others nga dili mag-commit og crime. So nga na, so medyo saba okay. Panda ng motor ang silingan mura pagway ano. So again, to serve as lesson to others nga dili mag-commit og crime, to maintain nga or to make sure nga naay peace sa ato ang society. So this time no, this admin is isa sa naga-raise nga padayon ang ay balik ang death penalty. So dili man siya to some for me dili man siya, wa man siya gituyo para to punish, but of course para magkano ang tao nga kumbaga magkaroon pud og ano ang tao nga dili mag-commit og crimes, mahadlok sila nga mag-commit og crimes. So nga na magyoy may tabo nga crime, na magyoy ma-murder, but at least we can lessen, dili kayo mudaghan. Okay, so peace issue, the use of weapons against an enemy, differing from war only in individually targeting those who presumably commit criminal homicide. So a use of weapon against an enemy, so this is one of the peace issue, ang paggamit og weapons. So especially nowadays, technologies are getting advanced, no? So advanced na yung technology, isa ka kuan na lang pwede na ka mag-take of life dali na lang kayo ang mag-take og life issue, euthanasia for the guilty. Another example is trying to solve problem by killing individuals. So isa sa ato ang ginabuhat, diba? Euthanasia for the guilty. And of course, another example is karing nabito kay experiences, especially in movie, karing mga karing mga revenge. Of course, you have karing motivated ka to kill because of your experiences. So nga na siya. Okay, next is racism. So isa sa nagakos og conflict between people is racism. Kumbaga gina-discriminate nimo ang isa ka race tungod kay for some reasons. Like for example, isa sa pinakasikat nga example of racism is the story or what happened between white and black Americans, diba? So sa una, ang black Americans are slaves, so they can sell black Americans para mo og katabang, no, and other purposes sa white Americans. So the culture of peace opposes discrimination and prejudices. That includes discrimination against races. So diri na mosulod katong homework kahapon, katong we discriminate Muslims because lagi they are terrorists bisag dili man. We hate races kay for some reasons, diba? Inga naman gyud. So culture of peace does not promote racism. Minority ethnic groups are overrepresented as people targeted by death row and war. So nga na siya, racism again is one of the kumbaga tawag ani disapprove when it talk about culture of peace, no? So isa man gud sa nagakos og war is when we discriminate other races, like there are there are tribes nga ato ang gina-discriminate, and some of us are tagging them as ignorant, ginatag as karing baba og literacy rate. So like for example, isa sa gina discriminate sa una are Blaans, to be karang baba kayo nga race, but look at them now, di ba? Daga nagblaan nga professionals, daga nagblaan nga naga-lead, daga nagblaan nga nasa politics, and of course good leaders. So gana siya. Culture of life protects vulnerable humans. So abortion clinic location shows minority ethnic groups are targeted for abortion. So in other countries, pero diri sa to one of our minority groups kay mo pay daghan og anak. So nga siya, but we do not discriminating anak because di man gid gani dili maiwasan sa ilahang lugar because of their geographical location. So nga sa movie gani nga karing Lucy, so gi-explain gani dito nga if ang isa ka tao nasa karing environment nga karing dili siya peaceful, what we do or what we want is survival. For example, nata sa giyera, so what we want is or what we do is for our survival. Pero pag naganita sa lugar nga peaceful, what we do is breeding or multiplication. So gana siya. That's why di na ta mag-expect nga mogamay ra na sila. So gana siya. So in other countries, isa sila sa vulnerable for abortion. Pero diri sa since we are kumbaga dako ag impact ang religion, especially not just in urban areas but of course in rural areas, in far-flung areas. So dako na pug impact ang religion, that's why lesser ang abortion rates of abortion. So a threat to both cultures, the war of words. Dehumanizing language target people as deficient humans, non-humans or non-persons, parasites, diseases, and waste products. So nga na. So the war of words. This language has been used against ethnic, religious minority groups. So when we say war of words, all about discrimination. What we say against other people, what we say against other cultures or minority groups, ethnic groups, actually war of words. So women, karing siya nga mga words or the discrimination actually ang nagamit, mostly ang ginagamit against ethnic groups, religious minority, against women, people with disabilities or illness, people who live in poverty, children in the womb, and of course, enemies. The slippery slope. Wars and other massive violence don't generally start full-blown. They start with dehumanizing language and smaller violent acts and build up. So, war begins, dili man gyud na siya paingon nga. We hate someone agad-agad. Dili man na siya ingon nga pag unang kita dong gabay dayon. Of course, we began with our words. Di ba? Usually gabikil ta sa ato ang words. So nga na gid siya. Wala may magsumbagay kung dili tungod sa bad words. Miscommunication. So nga na. Dehumanizing language and smaller violent acts. So katry man gyud ng sumbagay pagbata nga. Sige, unhi ko ron. Tapos giyonhan dala sumbagamay then nagsumbaganay na gyud. Sige nga na. So the same with an actual war, no? So dira man pud mag-start ang dako nga gubot. Gamay nga violence, dehumanizing words or discriminatory words, then war will blow up. Justifying pesticide has already led justifying infanticide and euthanasia. Okay, so that's all for today. We will continue this discussion on the next meeting. So medyo luyag yun and hindi explain because sa sipon o gubo. So still our topic will be about culture of peace on the next meeting. Okay, good day everyone.